Hello everyone, this is TankEngine97 and today has been 1 year since I uploaded the first episode of my long-awaited original series, Steam Railway Stories. And to celebrate this, I've decided to share with you all the inspiration behind it, what obstacles I had to go through to finally getting it out there, and maybe you might learn a few things along the way. So with that said, sit back and relax as we take a look at the story of Steam Railway Stories. The story to how I came up with Steam Railway Stories goes way back to 2006-2007. Yeah, seriously, that long ago. Shocking, innit? Around that time, the Soda Island fansite still had their redubs and parody series up, YouTube was only a few years old, and Thomas fan content was pumping out, which it continues to do so. One of these videos was Leokimvideo's Mad Bomber video, which involved Ertl Thomas trains made to look like they were moving on their own, and it did feel quite reminiscent of the original Thomas series. I mean, the production values of that video still hold up to this day, and this was made back in 2000, I believe it was. But the element that interested me at the time with this was the characters being renamed, such as Edward being called Bob, James being called Ted or Gleaming Red Ted, and Percy being called Noel, to just name a few. I later found out in the 2009 remastered version they were named after the people that voiced them in there. And this got me thinking, what if I did the same thing, but named the characters after people I knew? This circled around in my mind for many years, and after watching many other original series like the British Railway Stories and Crosslines, which for the record stuff like that deserves more love and attention from the fandom, the idea of making a series that was like Thomas, but had nothing to do with Thomas became more and more tempting. Plus, in my opinion, if you're going to make a series, you don't always need to rely on Thomas characters to make it work. Don't take that too personally, mind you, it's just my opinion. Eventually, I started YouTube in 2012 and work on Steam Railway Stories officially began. Sort of. Of course, if you've been following me for the last 9 years, then you'll probably know I had multiple series that either lasted one or a couple of episodes or just never came out. And to answer the question of what happened to them, a lot of elements from those series crossed over into this series. So you could say this series was those series, but heavily changed. Despite all that, Steam Railway Stories finally launched onto YouTube on the 2nd of July 2020. And for those being stuck indoors during the 2020 pandemic, they had something to look forward to and enjoy. Hey, just doing my bit to keep your spirits up. When it comes to the style of writing, this was one of the biggest things that I had to rethink many times over in terms of tone and language. After many trials and errors on how I wanted to go about my writing, I thought back to the Reverend Wilbert Awdry and what made his stories so timeless. He has stated, "You've got to remember who you're writing for. You're not merely writing for children, you're writing for the unfortunate people who've got to read the stories over and over and over again." This implies that anyone of any age could read his stories and get something out of them. True, the characters were rude, selfish and brutal to one another, but they did get some sort of comeuppance and did learn their lesson. Sometimes the hard way. Something of which is very relatable and we the audience can learn from ourselves. It's just a pity that a lot of kids media today fails miserably in this. The biggest example I can think of is Peppa Pig. Yes, like in the Railway series, the characters are rude to one another, but the difference here is, a lot of the time in Peppa Pig, the characters don't get any consequences for their actions, implying to the viewer watching that it's okay to act like that, when we all know it's not. That's why Awdry's stories worked and what I tend to follow when writing my stories. Although it does help to look at both good and bad things to see what works and doesn't work. Then you can learn that when applying it to your work. This is going to be a fun one. Like with Wilbert Awdry, who based a number of his stories off of real life events, I've tried to do the same thing by having some stories based off certain parts of my own personal life, albeit rather loosely. But like with the Railway series, some liberties are taken. mainly to fit in context with the fact that characters are sentient locomotives and not humans. For example, when I was writing Pushing the Limit, I had to take quite a few liberties with that story. As I've stated in the description of that particular episode, it was loosely based on an event that happened at university during my second year, and that the shed scene reflects this, while everything else was just fictional.
Why should we put up with Dom's jobs? We have enough work to do ourselves.
Mr. Harris made the decision to limit the amount for me until a space is available for my brakes to be fixed.
Well, it's not going to happen anytime soon. If anything, this limitation sounds more like an excuse for laziness.
Laziness?
That's right. And furthermore...
Oh, will you two stop boiler aching about such a trivial matter and go to sleep? You're doing my smoke boxing with your quarrelling.
If anyone's interested in hearing the full story that inspired Pushing the Limit, I'll make a separate video explaining it. But anyways, back on topic. In terms of other stories, it can often range from my views on something in the world, or just finding a way to incorporate certain pieces of railway gear, like I did with the trap points and tail lamp, and explaining their purpose, which can often help with the moral of the story. Like in Samantha and the tail lamp, where Samantha losing her tail lamp was the result of her being too excited and not giving enough time for the lamp to be fixed on properly, which obviously would lead to what happens later on in the episode. And that teaches the viewer about being overexcited and taking care when doing something new. Simple moral, but it's one that can be relatable if you look at it in certain ways. As there are quite a number of characters in this series, I won't be going into nitty-gritty detail about every single one, but what I can talk about is my process of how I create a character. For starters, a number of my characters, barring Magnus, Earlstoke and Robin, are named after people I know in real life. I then make a note of the name, and then look at different engines to see which one I think fits that name. Once that's been sorted, I then think about what their personality is. I mean, are they going to be a nice guy, a rude guy, are they old, are they young, blah blah blah. And when that's done, I make their facial expressions, find their voice, and bingo, a character. For some, it can be a bit difficult, because either the model of the engine is not on the market, or it's one I can't get for a decent price. Seriously, have you seen how much certain models go for these days? That sometimes goes for kit-bashed models too, mainly on obtaining parts, which is why Dom's model was constantly swinging backwards and forwards with changes and updates to the point where I was satisfied with the final product. So, now, where do we go from here? I would just like to point something out with the characters I named, and of course mentioned earlier here. A second
These are
season
not
is
100%
and is set
representations
for a 2022
of them.
release. If they were, then
There
a lot
is
of
even a
heated
movie
arguments
that
would
is planned
ensue.
to be released.
And if you ask one of those people who I named in the character after and are watching
its
this right
release
now,
is yet to be
I hope you
confirmed.
understand, and until that
You're
happens,
welcome.
I would like to thank everyone who has been involved with the series. It was
do
liked,
have some concerns,
commented,
please
and
let me know,
and shared it,
because the
and
last thing I
everyone
want to
who
do
is
is
just
upset and offend
enjoyed
people.
it. With that said,
The reception
this
to
is Tank
Steam
Engine
Railway
97
Stories has
saying
been
goodbye.
very positive.
Thank you for watching.
And at the time of
remember,
recording this,
Season
every
1
engine
has a total
has a
number
story.
of 4,470 views, to which I am very happy to see, as there is an audience out there who do enjoy what I make and love to see more of it, as you're about to find out from these guys.
I guess what I wanted to say is that it's actually quite good. It's actually one of the best original non-Thomas series I've actually seen in a while. I actually like the series a lot. It's actually one of the main inspirations I still work on my own original series, is because you have so many story ideas that have been adapted into your own thing, and I like it because it's not set on a soda, and you can actually feel for the characters, and you can write more creatively instead of relying on characters from already a pre-made show. You've kind of already made your own show. So it's very interesting to actually see the character development and the relationship shared between Dom, Pavan, and also Sadie. And Pavan I especially liked, especially for episode 8, because we got to see of how Robin's death affected him so dramatically, and how he just was willing to hide it because he just couldn't face it. But then with Dom and Taylor's relationship, I could definitely relate to that, because most of my life, especially in high school, I've been bullied. So I can definitely see the relationship between Dom and Taylor, and how Dom was afraid to tell the truth because he was basically bullied and blackmailed and threatened to silence, which is close enough to what's happened to me. So I kind of relate to Dom a little bit, because I feel that lots of people are threatened into silence about something that happened. And personally, I have a theory about what happened to Taylor, but I've already told you, so it's interesting. But yeah, Dom, I'm excited to see what happens for season 2. I really hope the stories will get better and better. Now, I will say with the episodes, there is no actually weekly written episode. Episode 1 to me is a little bit weak, but not that much. It's actually pretty okay. So I think all the episodes are done perfectly. They're written really well. The set design is really good. The characters also good. Maybe just top up on that paintwork, and then that'll be fine. So yeah, thanks, Dom.
Hello Dom, everyone. Daniel Alsop here from Thomas and Friends Alsop Productions, and I just want to say a big congratulations on a first anniversary for Dom's series, Steam Railway Stories. It's been great watching it throughout last year, especially during the lockdown period. You've done fantastic work, Dom, and I'm really amazed with what you've done, especially with layouts and models too. My favourite episodes will have to be Passenger Trouble, episode 1, Sadie the Fly Hunter, and Trap Points, as well as Samantha and the Tail Lamp. Great work once again, Dom, and looking forward to writing and teaming up with you in season 2. Until then, Daniel Alsop signing off. Happy anniversary, and goodbye.
What do I think about Steam Railway Stories? Well, I think it was really good. It really is. From the characters to the episodes, this series is worth watching in my opinion. I loved watching each and every episode. They're very entertaining. It really shows how much effort and time has been put into making them. My favourite parts were Dom's crash in Pushing the Limit, and Pav struggling to pull the coaches in Pav's coach bother. I especially couldn't stop bopping my head around to the theme music. It was that good to listen to. My favourite episodes would have to be Passenger Trouble, The Scrapyard Ghost, and War Veteran. Then again, I liked all the episodes. In conclusion, Steam Railway Stories is something I highly recommend in my opinion, and I hope it continues to entertain more people. Happy anniversary, Steam Railway Stories!
Hello there, my name is RJ, and I'm a fan of Steam Railway Stories. What I like most about it is how well written the story is for a model series. Not gonna lie, no offense, no pun intended. Yeah, no pun intended of course, but it's fantastically well written, the characters are well written, the stories are well written. Even everything about it is fantastically well laid out, not gonna lie. But if there's one thing I would like to point out is that I would like to see some backstories on the characters at some point in the future of the series, so yeah.
Steam Railway Stories is a wonderful series, and it's got an incredible amount of characters, and it's got some very good storylines. What I like most about the series is how realistic it's meant and supposed to look, and the idea of using trains to make the show feels like it's got some special inspiration to it. The characters who I like most in that show are Dom, Sadie, Pav, Elstoke and Samantha. But I think put all 5 of those characters together, and you got yourself a good team. You got like they're like students in the school. You got like Pav, Sadie and Dom, the students, and then you've got Samantha and Elstoke, who are like the teachers or the support teachers. I think you got yourself a good group there. One of the episodes I like in particular is Trap Points. This is where Dom has taken an interest in a particular set of points that have been placed at Apple Green Junction. Pav explains to him what they are, and then we have Elstoke come in, and then the episode just deals with the trap points and Elstoke together, and then when you've got these two together, you've got Elstoke coming in, and you got trap points, and then you got Dom in the middle. I think you can clearly see that. Or maybe later on you find out that the trap points do come into play again, and Elstoke coming into the trap points is quite surprising, because I had no idea when I first saw that. I didn't think that was going to happen. I recommend Steam Railway Stories to everybody because it's wonderful, it's enjoyable, it's exciting, it's got elements of railway safety, and it's got conflicts, it's got issues that the engines have to deal with, a lot of people deal with every day in real life. I think it's something that everybody should watch, because elements of what the characters do, say, and intervene with, they can relate to the characters. There are things the viewers can relate to from the characters, and I believe that whatever is happening in real life, like sometimes it can be portrayed in TV shows, and viewers can often relate to what's happening in the TV series or episodes.
So, where do we go from here? Well, as we speak, and of course mentioned earlier this year, a second season is in the works and is set for a 2022 release. There is even a movie that is planned to be released somewhere after season 2 or in the future, but its release is yet to be confirmed. Until that happens, I would like to thank everyone who has been involved with the series, who has liked, commented and shared it, and everyone who has just enjoyed it. With that said, this is Tank Engine 97 saying goodbye, thank you for watching, and remember, every engine has a story.